Greetings, everyone. It's with great pleasure that I welcome you all to yet another promising and insightful session on the Forex Mastery. It has been quite a very range bound trading activity since the beginning of the week, as price action is yet to move significantly well as expected. And as a result of this, we have a situation where whichever positions we get into, price action keeps getting out of that position in no time. So we are going to be looking at that in detail, so we don't need to get worried, and let's remain patient. The week is still, this is the third week, and there is very likelihood that we'll begin to see some huge traction as we get closer to the first chairman's testification before the Congress. So on this note, I welcome you all once again. And for those who are joining us for the first time, you are highly welcome on board. And what we simply do here on a daily basis is to come together to hold on a second, please. I want to sort out a technical issue here. So, sorry about that. So what we simply do here is to come together as a community, gathering in anticipation of both the New York and London trading sessions today. And during this time, we will be reviewing and managing our current positions, while we also aim to position ourselves strategically for today's trading session. So this is what we simply do here on a daily basis, and the time frame we normally focus on is basically on the 1 hour time frame. And one thing that is needed to be cleared here is that the analysis we do here is a follow-up detail on the instruments I shared during the course of the weekend. So I had a handful of financial instruments that I shared during the course of the weekend, as this was supposed to be the instrument on our watch list for the week. So I have the link in the description box of this current video. So if you do want to understand how we got to this point and how we were able to identify this key levels, trend lines, and resistance and support levels on the chart on the 1 hour time frame, then it's important that you watch these videos. I have them in the link in the description box, and they are duly timestamped so you can easily navigate to whichever aspect of the video is of your interest. So once again, you are all welcome on board. Now, please let me know in the comment section if the audio quality is good, as this will help me to do the appropriate adjustment if there is need for it. So thank you very much as you do so. I really appreciate as you give me feedback as regards to the audio and the visual quality of this video. So okay, I can see Kinsley. Hello Kinsley, how are you doing this morning? Good morning to you, and trust you are doing well. Jonah Haruna, good morning to you. Thank you very much for checking in. Okay, Romanek, good morning, Romanek. How are you doing today? I guess you're new. I'm not sure. I think this is the first time I'm seeing Romanek here. Good morning, Romanek. All right. So let me know in the comment section if the sound quality is good. So we just kickstart the live session. All right. Okay. So, okay, so you know how we do it every morning like this. When we come together, the first thing we want to do is to check the economic calendar to see what we are going to be looking forward to. And you know how important the economic calendar is. Okay, so we all know how important the economic calendar is, as it gives us the fundamental factor. So the fundamental factors often manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movement. And by monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns. So this is basically the reason why we always try to check the economic calendar, so that we can position ourselves in such a way that we can catch any potential trading opportunity prior, during, and after the event. So let's quickly run through the economic calendar, and you know how we do it. Our center of focus are only on high impact events that will be affecting any of the currencies that we have been monitoring. And for this week, we have the US dollar. So we are going to be looking at high impact event from the US economic docket. We are going to be looking at high impact event from the Japanese economic docket. And we're also going to be looking at high impact event from the UK economic docket. These are basically based on the instruments that we have been monitoring so far this week. So today, Wednesday, June 21st, we have two high impact events both coming from the UK and the US economic docket. Now, the first one is the consumer price index, which has already happened, and this gives us is a key indicator into the measure of inflation and changes in purchasing trends. So it's a very, very important event that the Bank of England will be looking forward to, and this will also be affecting the interest rate decision coming in tomorrow. Remember, we have the interest rate decision coming from the UK economic docket tomorrow, which is another high impact event that majority will be looking forward to. So the CPI data came in earlier this morning, and it was even beyond expectation as at 8.7% as against the 8.4%, giving us a positive variance of 0.94. And in fact, as a result of this event this morning, we saw a huge traction from the pound sterling. So we are going to be looking at how that happened and how we are going to be guiding our trading activities from that current market structure. Then moving on here, we have the first chairman's Powell's testification. So he's going to be testifying in front of the Congress this morning, providing a broad overview of the economy and monetary policy. So this is what majority in the market will be looking forward to, and this will continue tomorrow too as well. So let's wait and see. I will be giving you highlights as I get them, probably on my public platforms as usual, and we're also going to be using it as well to guide our trading activity today, as I will be giving you updates on all my public platforms. So with that being said here, let's dive right into the business for today. Okay, I can see Jonah Aruna. Okay, thank you very much, Jonah. Victor Siami, good morning to you, Victor. How are you doing today? Glad to have you around. So the first instrument we are going to be taking today is the US oil spot. Okay, so this is the 1 hour time frame, and on the 1 hour time frame, this is basically what we have here. And one thing you will notice here on the 1 hour time frame is that price action since the beginning of this week, in fact since last week, has been trading below the $72 area, and this is a clear sign that sellers are still very, very strong in this particular market. And if you had watched my video on the US oil, which I said is in the link in the description box of this current video, this was serving as our key level for the week. And you know how we use our key level in this community. So as long as price action remains below the key level, of course, we want to be looking out for patterns and structures that will be supporting a bearish momentum to the downside. And if you look at what has been happening in this market since the beginning of this week, price had continued to trade below this key level to emphasize the strength of the sellers in this particular market. Then in addition to the key level we identified, the first thing we observed on Monday morning was this bearish gap, which revealed the nature of trading activities during the course of the weekend, over the weekend. So it was more of selling the US oil spot, and in fact the week started on a bearish note as a result of this, as we saw price action started the week at around the $71.45 level. Then it dropped into that $70.85 area, as you can see here. Then price action came back into that resistant line one more time prior to our live session yesterday, giving us a situation here that looks more like a consolidation phase. And in fact, as a result of this, we had a flat channel to work with for the week. And you know how we do it whenever we have this kind of simple flat channel. We want to wait patiently for structures to mature, and what we want to be looking out for are signals which will come either in the form of the breakdown of the support line to give us an opportunity to sell, or the breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy. And in fact, with our buy stop and sell stop order placed at the resistance and the support line, we had our buy position triggered at the beginning of the week. So this was our first buy position, and we saw how price action moved about 80 pips thereabout before this bearish momentum happened around that same key level at the $72 area, where we all acknowledge that sellers are very, very strong around that juncture. And we saw the bearish momentum bring price back to the downside, and you know how we do it in this community. As soon as price action moves significantly well in our favor, we always want to move our stop losses to secure the position. And if you had done that, the worst case scenario would have been taken out here would have been at break even. So you might have had some modest profit around that area, but the worst case scenario was break even. So we also saw here that we are going to be re-anticipating another entry after price action came back into that zone, as you can see here. And with another buy stop order above the resistance line, we had the second position triggered, and that one also moved about 80 pips. We moved our stop loss accordingly, and we're taking out with a modest profit, or at a worst case scenario break even, bringing price to drop below the structure. And during our live session yesterday, we acknowledged that if price action drops below this key level at the $71.45 level, also breaking down that bullish trend line, we shall be looking out for a retest of structure to incite a bearish move. And this was exactly what happened yesterday, and we had the privilege of joining a bearish move here, bringing price to as far as how many pips was that? Over 160 pips moved to the downside before we saw this bullish momentum began this morning. And during the early hours of today, I already shared an update. Let's quickly run through my commentaries on the US All Sports this morning. So this was what I said here this morning on the US All Sports. So let's quickly run through that, and then we go back into the live chat to determine what our next line of action will be. So here we are on my public platform, TradingView. I also had this spotted on my Telegram platform too as well. So this was how we sold yesterday. We told ourselves that we are going to be anticipating the breakdown of the $71.45 level, as you can see the arrow there, and then price dropped significantly well, breaking through key structures like the $70.85 level and the $70.50 level, giving us more opportunity to maximize the potential of that bearish move. And for those who took advantage of this opportunity, well done to you, and kudos to you for being on standby to have caught that move. Now, moving into this morning. So I shared an update here yesterday. Okay, this morning here, I now mentioned that in light of the newly established ascending trend line that will influence today's trading activity, wholesale positions have been terminated. The potential for a bearish momentum remains significant as long as the price stays below our crucial threshold of the $72 level. Now, going back into the live chat here, this was the trend line I was talking about here. So as you can see, we had a trend line which guided the what I will call the retracement of the impulsive bearish move we saw yesterday. So we saw this bearish move yesterday, bringing price into this area, and we saw this bullish momentum climbing this trend line. And for me, at this particular point in time, I will be considering this bullish momentum as a retracement of that impulsive move. And one of the reasons why I will consider this a retracement, the first thing here is that we saw it break down that bullish trend line, which has been supporting that momentum for the last couple of weeks in this market. We saw the breakdown of that structure. And from a technical standpoint, whenever we have a breakdown of a trend line, you know that we expect that price action will at one point come back to retest the structure to incite a trend continuation to the downside. So as a result of this technical expectation, I'm of the opinion that we are likely going to see price come back and retest that structure. So this morning I shared here that we are going to be looking out for selling opportunities below the $71.45 level, which personally I have a sell stop somewhere around here. Hold on a second. I want my sell stop order to be around the $71.20 level. So if you are taking advantage of that move below the $71.45, it's okay. But I have my below the $71.20 level, and the reason is simply because of that ascending trend line we identified this morning. And I want to see price action breakdown. And one thing we have noticed around that $71.45 level is the fact that price action has been rejecting that level a couple of times, giving us a sign that sellers are gradually gaining momentum around that area. And coupled with the fact that price still remains below our key level at the $72 level, the chances that a bearish momentum still remains very valid in this market. So I want to be looking forward to a breakdown of the $71.20 level to capture this bearish move to the downside. So you want to mark these levels out on your chart so that we can capture this opportunity as price action moved all the way to the downside. And one thing about this bearish expectation here is that we have key levels that we can use to maximize the potential of this move, as we have structures like the $70.85 level. We have the $69.80 level if price action goes that far. I doubt if it will go that far, but if it goes that far, we want to be looking out for breakdown retest of that structure to capture more opportunities in this market. So that is how we are going to be looking out for selling opportunities on the US All Spot for today. And trust me, I will always be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platform to give you updates as at when due. So in as much as we're looking out for selling opportunities in this particular market, we cannot ignore the potentials of buyers. And the only way I will be considering buying the US All Spot today is to see price action take out all the sell positions along the $72 area for me to start considering buying the US All Spot. So what this simply means is that as long as price action remains below the $72 area, we shall be looking out for selling opportunities. So a breakout obviously will welcome buying opportunities. So personally, what I want to look out for at this point is price action breaking out the structure. Then I scale down to my lower time frame. I'm not going to be having a buy stop order at this point. And the reason why that is simply because of how sellers are strong around that area. So I will need a confirmation to give me the confidence to be part of a bullish move at that point. So I want to see price action break out of that structure, then scale down into my lower time frame. It could be your 5 minutes, your 10 minutes, or your 15 minutes time frame. You can even go as low as 3 minutes time frame. Look out for retest of structure at any point in time, revealing signs that buyers are likely gaining momentum around that area. Then we want to be joining that bullish move to the upside. So that is how we are going to be buying. So unless that happens, we are not going to be considering buying any of this today. Sorry about that. So that is that on the US All Spot today. So let's be on standby to catch this move. The selling pressure here is getting stronger. So with our sell stop order below the $71.20 level, we want to capture that move as it goes on. So if you have any questions whatsoever regarding what I just explained here, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So all right, do we have any question here? What is the actual effect of CPP taking today's CPI? As an example, the variance is positive, yet JPP is going down. Is a higher expected beta from little understanding, a high raise rate in order? I'm not sure I understand what you are saying here, Kinsley. The variance is positive, yet the GBP is going down. Well, one thing that we all need to understand here is that the fundamentals does not determine how, it does determine how price action moves, but there is a psychology behind the movement. And one thing, that is why you don't look at the fundamentals to decide if you want to buy or sell. You want to use it in conjunction with the understanding of what is really going on in the market. Now, if you look at the time the CPI data came in, we saw a bullish traction in the GBP, in the pound sterling, before we started seeing the reversal happen at that point. So there was an immediate reaction to the CPI data that we saw, and we are going to be talking about that in detail when we go into the GBP USD. So that is, we will talk about that in detail. Okay, Kingsley, when we go to GBP USD, we'll talk about that. If you have any questions on the US All Spot, let me know in the comment section before we move on to the next pair. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page here. So we shall be moving on to the next instrument. And the next instrument we are going to be taking, of course, is the GBP USD. So on the GBP USD this morning, I shared an update on this instrument. So I would like us to go through the update first of all, after which I will now go into the live chat to do a detailed explanation into what we are looking at and how we positioned ourselves ahead of this current bearish move that we saw on the chart right now. So this morning I shared an update here about 27 minutes ago. I hope you were able to capture that, and I also shared it on my Telegram platform too as well. So we had the situation this morning. So yesterday we were selling the GBP USD. Remember, we had a position running. We never had the privilege of having more positions, as we never saw new structures to do that. So we rode the move all the way to the downside. And I told us all here before I went to bed yesterday that we should secure all sell positions at this particular point in time. And then this morning I shared an update here, and I said here, as UK inflation displayed limited signs of elevation, and with the May CPI remaining steady at 8.7%. So the CPI data still remains the same. So it was 8.7%. Can you hear me now? I just tampered with the connection of the microphone. I hope you can hear me. I can hear myself. I do hope you can hear me. If you can, please let me know in the comment section. Okay, so I was saying here that the CPI remains steady at 8.7% year on year. And if you look at the economic calendar here, we have the previous data came in at 8.7%, and majority were expecting a 8.4% here, which they were expecting a little contraction, but that was not the case, as we saw the data came in just as what as the data that came in the previous month. And with that situation, we really did not have any change in the CPI data. But when we compare to the expectation in the market, the expectation of economics, there was a variance, a positive variance on that one. And I said here, all sell positions were liquidated as buying pressure resumed. Today, we have fresh ascending trend line to steer our trading activities today. So now going into the chart here, during the CPI data this morning, we saw this traction. We saw a very strong move as in response to the positive variance here. We saw that strong moving to the upside, and that move did not last long, as we saw how selling pressure negated the bullish attempt, hereby bringing a situation where price action dropped back to the downside. Now, if you looked at my commentary this morning, I said here that we are going to be looking out for selling opportunities below the trend line. So I said here that we have a trend line which we are going to be using to steer our trading activities for today. And you know how we use our trend lines in this community. When price action climbs above the trend line, we want to feel comfortable in a buy position. But once we have a breakdown of the trend line, obviously we want to be getting ready to sell. And in fact, on the JPY USD, we had the breakdown already happened, and since then price action had continued to find lower highs in this particular market. And if you are taking advantage of this opportunity at this point, well done to you for being on standby to have caught that move. And if you had done that, it's high time you want to be moving your stop loss to secure this current position. And we currently have about 47 pips in profit. So I will be advising that we move all stop losses to somewhere around the 1.26700, or probably your entry point. We really do not have any traction yet here. So I'm not seeing this as a profit at this particular point in time. So we'll just move our stop loss to around that entry area and wait and see how price action will be reacting to the 1.27200 level. So now with our positions well secured at this particular point in time, what is going to be our next line of action? How do we intend to anticipate the next move? And for those who had missed out on this opportunity, we are going to be looking at ways through which we can maximize this move, or probably join any opportunity if the market will be continued to the downside. Now, with the situation we have here, the first thing I was able to observe here is the fact that since the beginning of this week, price action has been very, very bearish in this particular market. And in order to emphasize the strength of the sellers here, I was able to connect the series of lower highs, which gave us this bearish trend line we identified at the beginning of the week. And as you can see here, price action had consistently respected that trend line. Even though we had an attempt this morning to break through that structure following the CPI data, we saw how sellers pushed through to the downside to negate that effect, giving us a clue that sellers are still very, very strong in this market. Now, moving into what is going on at this particular point in time, if you look at what happened here yesterday during the New York session, we saw that as soon as price action got into the 1.27200 level, we saw bullish traction resume from that area. And right now, price action is exactly trading around that zone. So we are at a very critical point in the market right now, hence we want to be identifying that level as one of our parameters to guide our trading activities for today. And in order to do this, I want to connect that level together. And so we have the 1.27200 level. So we shall have that area as our new support line for the week, as this is the lowest point price action has been for this week. So we want to mark these levels out on our chart. So you want to do that right now, 1.27200 level. Mark that level out on your chart, as depending on how price action reacts to this level will determine if we are going to be buying or selling the JPY USD. So I'm going to be looking forward to a breakdown retest of the structure to join another bearish move to the downside. So once I sight a breakdown of the structure retest, then I want to be joining a bearish move. But if you are already in a sell position from this point here, so that means you're already in profit, so you could test waters by having a sell stop order below the 1.272 to maximize this move to the downside. But if you are not in any sell position yet, and this will be your first time you'll be selling, well, I would advise you to wait for the breakdown to happen, then look out for retest of structure on your 15 minutes or 5 minutes time frame to look out for selling opportunities in this particular market. So that is how we are going to be selling the JPY USD today. Then in as much as we're looking out for selling opportunities below the 1.27200 level, it is also very important that we consider the potentials of buyers at this particular juncture. Now, considering the fact that we have been seeing buying pressure around this area at one point, there are still a chance that buyers could still come in at this area. So we need to be very, very careful at this particular point. So what we are going to be doing here today is, if we see here that buyers come in at any point, continue buy pressure comes in, then we want to be considering buying the JPY USD. But we are not going to be jumping into a buy position unless we have a full-blown reversal pattern. So it could be a double bottom structure where the neckline will be duly identified. Then we wait for the breakout retest of the neckline before we want to be joining any move to the upside. And if we join the breakout of the neckline of any reversal pattern that forms there, it could be a head and shoulder pattern, it could be a falling wedge, whichever one it is, breakout retest of the neckline will welcome buying opportunities. Now, there is a caveat to this bullish momentum if it happens around that area, that is around the 1.2770 level and the 1.27850 area. So you can see how this area is lining up with that bullish trend line we identified this morning. So one thing here is that if we buy and price gets into the zone, the next thing we are going to be doing is to move our stop losses to secure that buy position, and let's wait and see how price action will be reacting with this confluence. Now, a breakout of the confluence to the upside will be welcoming buying opportunity, while continued selling pressure might likely incite another wave of bearish momentum to the downside. But trust me, I'm going to be with you in the comment section of both my trading view and Telegram platform to give you updates on what we are going to be looking out for if price action moves in that direction. So these are my views here on the GBP USD for today. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before we move on to the next instrument. Any questions? All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page here. So I will be moving on to the next instrument for today, which is the XAU USD. Now, on the XAU USD, we have been selling since the beginning of this week. Sincerely, we've been selling. And let's look at what we saw at the beginning of the week that incited the idea of selling the XAU USD. Now, if you look at the structure closely, let's zoom in. Remember, if you had watched my video on the XAU USD this weekend, remember we had a key level situated at the 1,960. And as you can see, since the beginning of the week, price action has been trading below our key level. And you know how we use our key levels in this community. As long as price remains below the key level, we always want to look out for selling opportunities. And besides the key level here, we also spotted this channel where price action was ranging between the $1,958.50 level and the $1,953.50 level. So we had a beautiful flag channel at the beginning of the week, which further emphasized the level of indecision in this particular market. And you know how we use our key level whenever price action falls into such a range here. We want to wait patiently for structures to mature, where we look out for either a breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the support line, which will give us an opportunity to sell. And you saw what happened here. Price action broke down both the neckline of the 1,955 and the support line to give us our first sell position for the week. Though the move did not last long, as we saw here, price moved about 60 pips. We were taken out after moving our stop losses. The same thing happened here too as well. Price action moved about 60 pips as well, taking out again. So you can see we really did not last long in all these positions that we had here. Then during our live session yesterday, we acknowledged here that price action has been ranging within another level where we had between the $1,953.50 level and the $1,948 level. And you know how we use our key levels here. When price breaks out to the upside, we look out for buying opportunities. And when price action breaks below the key level, we look out for selling opportunity. Then prior to the live session yesterday, we initially had a buy position which was triggered above the 1953. We did not last. As we saw, we were taken out of that position in a loss. If you remember, let me show you on my XAUUSD. So we had a loss on the XAUUSD yesterday as we were taken out of that buy position, and immediately price action came to trigger our sell stop order to help us to recoup the loss we had, and then made some more profit on the loss. So let's look at it quickly here. So during the live session yesterday, okay, this was the setup. Okay, this was prior to the live session yesterday, and I told us here that if price action continues to find it difficult to break down the 1948, we are going to be looking out for buying opportunity. Okay, this is not yesterday. Okay, all right, this was yesterday's trading session. Okay, this was before yesterday's trading session. So we had the buy stop order at the 1953, and at that point, if price action breaks out of the 1953, it would have broken out of the bearish trend line as well, which we thought will be a sign that the trend line may no longer have the capacity to reject the bullish attempt. And we saw the breakout, we saw the retest of structure. We joined at that point, and we were taken out of that position actually. As you can see, we were taken out despite the retest of structure. So I mentioned here that the position is still at a loss as buyers are currently facing challenges in sustaining the momentum that resulted in the breakout of the descending trend line. So we are still monitoring. That was what I said then. Then we saw our price action took us out of that position at a loss, and then triggered our sell stop order at the 1948. And as you can see, we saw price action move over 150 pips in our favor, making us to recoup the loss we made at the beginning of the day. And then we had some more in our kitty, and price moved there. So I told us all to secure all positions at this point. And then this was an update yesterday. I told us that we are going to be looking forward to a breakdown of the 1930 to add more position to our existing trade. And unfortunately, that did not happen. As you can see, instead, we had a simple setup here that I was thinking that we are going to be looking out for opportunities to sell if price action breaks down to 1936. So we saw the breakdown happen this morning. Price action was below that structure. So I said here that secure sell positions as buying pressure resumes once again. So now going back into the live chart. So this was the new chart I used to do my update later in the evening yesterday. So this was what we saw on the 30 minutes time frame. And if you had moved your stop loss on the sell position, you would have been taken out at break even at this point. Now, there's something very interesting about this current structure, as you can see here on the 30 minutes time frame. You will see that as soon as price action got into that zone around the $1,930 level, we begin to see some buy pressure resume around that area. So we saw the first one happen during the New York session yesterday, and during the early hours of today we also saw a sharp rejection of the structure. And from the look of things here, the current structure here is gradually transitioning into something that looks like a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure. Now we saw the first touch. As you can see, price came back into that zone within the 1938 and the 1936. We saw price action come back again to the downside, but the inability of price action to break through the previous level is a clear sign that buyers are gradually gaining momentum, and there is a likelihood that this could lead into a potential double bottom structure. And you know how we do it in this community. As soon as we start identifying its price movement transitioning into a potential reversal pattern, the next thing we want to be doing here is to identify the neckline of this reversal pattern so that we can capture this move. And the breakout of the neckline also will validate the potency of this reversal pattern. So this zone right here is serving as the neckline of this reversal pattern based on this current market structure. And for us to buy at this point, we will need price action to take out all the sell positions along this zone to give us an opportunity to buy. So a breakout retest of the structure will definitely welcome an opportunity for us to join a bullish move at this point. So we would need some level of patience at this point in time to be part of any positions at this particular point in time. So right now we have to look at how we are going to be joining the bullish move here. So we have price action has been ranging between the $1,938.70 level and the $1,936 since yesterday. So I want to see price take us out of the zone. So which of these levels do you think we can use here to capture any of this capture this bullish move at this point? Well, for me, I would rather say that using our line chart, let's see, I would want to use something. I want to use an area around here, the mean, that is the average of this between this and this one actually. But I saw a trend line here this morning after bringing out my line chart where I saw lower highs at this point. And for me to capture this, I want to see price action take out that trend line. Then if it does take out that trend line and I begin to see buy pressure above that trend line, then I can join early enough while I have a buy stop order sitting above the $1,938.70 level to maximize this move by adding more position to my existing trade. So let me give you a visual representation of what I'm talking about here. So I would want to see price action break out of the trend line. Remember, we are not getting too excited at that point. We want to see further confirmations to happen. So I want to see price do a retest of structure. And when you scale down into your lower time frame, we want to see signs that sellers are finding it difficult to drop back below the trend line, and this would reflect on the chart as continued buy pressure above the trend line, after which we want to be part of a bullish move to the upside. Then if this happens, we have a buy stop order above the $1,938.70 level to capture and maximize the potential of this bullish move to the upside. So that is how we are going to be buying the XAU USD for today. Then another thing I would like to call our attention to here is how important this area we are in right now has been serving as a strong buying niche in the last couple of weeks now in this market. And for us to see that, we want to scale up into the higher time frame. Now, going up into the 4 hours time frame, I just want to show you how important the zone we are in right now is based on the current market structure. So this is the 4 hours time frame, and this was what I talked about in my video on the XAU USD this weekend. And as you can see, what we have here, price action is back at that demand zone. And look at what has been going on around this area since the beginning of this month. We can see that every attempt by the sellers to break through the structure has been met with strong resistance from the buyers. So the inability of sellers to break through this structure is a clear signal that this area is a very, very strong demand zone. And for the fact that price action is back into that zone yesterday, followed by a couple of buy pressure around that area, I'm of the opinion that we might likely be seeing another wave of bullish momentum at that point. But we are not jumping into conclusions. We want to wait for structures to tell us what to do at this point. So that is why we have identified a structure that we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for today. So I needed to show you how important the zone we are in right now is from a much more higher time frame. Now let's go back into the lower time frame again, and let's finalize on our plans for today. So going back into the 30 minutes time frame, like I was showing you earlier. So I will just zoom in so that we can see things clearly. All right, so we are back into that zone. So like I was saying earlier, I want to see price action take out the trend line, then breakout happens, retest of structure, couple of buy pressure above that area, then I want to join and have a buy stop order above the $1,938.70 level to capture more opportunities to be part of this move. So you want to mark these levels out on your chart so that you can use them as a reference point when you're about to make your independent decision. Now, in as much as we're looking out for buying opportunities in this market, you know how we do it in this community. We also want to ensure that we keep our options as open as possible. Now, with this situation and considering the continued selling pressure since the beginning of the week, we cannot ignore the potentials of the sellers in this particular market too as well. Now, with this current structure we have here, what is it that we will see here that will make us to change our bias from bullish to bearish? Well, for me personally, since we already have a potential demand zone around that 1,930, which also shares a confluence with that key demand zone we identified on the 4 hours time frame, I'm of the opinion that we would want to see price action take out all the buyers around the zone to give us a signal to sell the XAU USD today. And for the sell position we had yesterday, remember the sell position is still running. If you remember, if you still have your sell position running, kindly move your stop loss to somewhere around here, around the zone. Move your stop loss to that area, secure your position, and let's wait and see what will be going on here. So for me here, I would want to see price action take out the demand zone, then a couple of retests of structure on my lower time frame to confirm that we are good to sell the XAU USD for today. So if this does not happen, we will hold on to a bullish bias and wait for structures above this trend line to give us a signal to buy the XAU USD. So that is how we are going to be trading this today. So let's mark these levels out on our chart, and then I will be giving you update as at when due on my TradingView and Telegram platform. So if you have any questions regarding what I've just explained here, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So I'll be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before we move on to the next instrument. Okay, Samuel, good morning to you. Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks for the compliment, and I'm glad that you find them very useful to you. All right, so let me give some time for some questions. Are we live? Are we still live? Is anyone in the house? Can you still see my screen? Can you hear my voice? All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are on the same page. So I will just move on to the last instrument for today, and that is going to be the USD JPY. All right, so on the USD JPY, we have a situation here since the beginning of the week where price has been range bound for quite a while in this market. And as you can see here, we have been seeing price ranging between our key level, which was situated at the 142.00 area. Remember, at the beginning of the week, if you had watched my video on the USD JPY, I shared with you how we got to identify this level, and we saw the support line initially for the week at around the 141.500 level to give us a flat channel to work with. And one thing we did at the beginning of the week here was to position ourselves ahead by having a buy stop order at the breakout of the resistance line, which actually happened. The first one was closed at break even, and the second one was closed in a loss, and then we were able to recoup the loss we made, and then by having a sell stop order below the 141.750 that was yesterday, we saw the trend line triggered, we had a sell position running, and in fact that moved, we recouped our losses. That moved about 50 pips in our favor before we were taken out of that position again. And I shared here yesterday that we are going to be anticipating a breakout of the 141.750 to be part of another wave of bullish momentum. Then we also had this one too as well at the breakout of the key level, which is the resistant line for the week. And then we saw the second position triggered at that point. And this morning, I shared here that we should be securing all positions at this point. So on the USD JPY, let's look at the commentary on the USD JPY. This morning, I shared an update. All right, so let's look at, okay, what was our update this morning on the USD JPY? Okay, so this was my update here this morning on the USD JPY. I said secure buy positions, right? So no, this is not today. Sorry. This is not today. Okay, Arashi says that I can see, but the video keeps buffering. Well, and I have a very good reception here. I wonder why that is. Is anyone experiencing the same issue? Please let me know in the comment section. Hello everyone. Sorry for the break in transmission. It took quite a while before I got to know that things were not working fine. That is why I always try to look at the comment section to get feedbacks as to what is going on over there. And I got a couple of chats and calls, so thank you very much for letting me know. And in fact, I don't know where we all missed out on the communication. I was about trying to talk about the commentary on the USD JPY, so I don't know where we stopped before the network went offline. So if you don't mind, let me know in the comment section where we were, and I'll be glad to start all over again from where we were. And if I don't get, I will just restart the USD JPY. So I would expect some feedback, some comments in that regard. So okay, so let me just restart the USD JPY because I'm running out of time here. So what I was talking about on the USD JPY as regards to the current market structure. So what I was saying here is that since the beginning of this week, we have seen a situation here where price action has remained range bound. And look at what we have. We saw our price action was caught within the 142.00 level and the 141.500 area to emphasize the level of indecision in this particular market. And with this kind of situation, I'm of the opinion that market participants on the USD JPY market are looking forward to a catalyst that will help drive price movement. And we're expecting the first chair to have a speech later on today, so majority will stay tuned in to watch what it will say, as it will give us an insight into the economic situations, the monetary policy of the United States, after which we are going to be getting an idea of where price action might likely be going. However, during the course of the week, we had some buy positions, we had some sell positions as well. I think we had a couple of stop losses on this one as we were caught up within this whole situation that we have here. However, during my live session, during my commentary close to the end of the New York session yesterday, I shared an update here after enjoying this bearish move after price action broke down the 141.750 level and that trend line to give us the opportunity to recoup the loss we had earlier. And price went on to the downside, gave us about 60 pips or so before we begin to see another wave of bullish momentum. And remember that we had a buy stop order above the 141.750 and the 142.00 area, which were triggered during in the last 12 hours or so. And I shared a commentary here this morning that we are going to be securing our positions. Hold on a second, let me show you. So I said here that with the focus now directed towards the Federal Reserve Chairman's Jerome Powell's testimony before Congress today, buy pressure renews. It is advisable to safeguard all buy positions that we have at this point. And if you had done that, you must have been taken out of the first position here, but the second position will still be running. Let's see how this is going to play out going forward. So we're going to remain patient on the USD JPY. And in order to make things simple for us to guide our trading activity for today, I'm going to be acknowledging this bullish momentum. So if you look at the structure closely, you will see that since yesterday's New York session, we've been seeing higher highs and higher lows in this market to emphasize some level of bullish momentum. So what we are going to be doing here to identify a yardstick that we are going to be using to guide our trading activity today is to connect the series of higher lows. And in fact, we are going to be having a couple of them here. So we have the first one here, and then we are going to be having the second one around this area. So we are going to be using these trend lines to guide our trading activities going forward. So I have the major one, which is a thick line on your screen. So let's bring back the candle chart so that we can do some little readjustment to capture most of these levels. So here we are. So at this point in time, we want to see how price action will be reacting to this trend line. So we have the first trend line around here. Let me highlight it with the red line. So we have the first trend line here. So we want to see how price action will be reacting to that trend line. So is it going to respect it? That is, are we going to start seeing buy pressure above the trend line one more time? If we start seeing buy pressure, then we could have a buy stop order again above the 142.00 level to join that bullish move to the upside. But if price action breaks down that trend line, then we might be seeing some selling move back into the structure that could incite another wave of bullish momentum, or in fact break down the trend line to incite a sell-off in this market. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section on both my TradingView and Telegram platform to give you updates when price action gets into that zone on what our next line of action is going to be like. So I think on this note, I would like to call it a day here. I see you, Jonah Haruna. Good morning to you. Okay, it's okay. All right, I just did that. I hope that was clear. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and I will take the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before I draw the curtain on this one. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page and we are well equipped to be able to take advantage of any potential trading opportunity during the New York and London session today. And of course, I'm always with you in the comment section of both my Trading View and Telegram platform to give you updates as at when due. And as regards to the live chat, I was insinuating at the beginning of the week, I finally have I still have a little hiccup which I was trying to resolve before the live session. But as soon as we end the live session here, I'm going to work on that. I think I should be able to start the broadcast today, and I will give you the link in the comment section on my Telegram platform today. So please stay tuned in, and sorry for the delay. We shall get this sorted out, and I know that once we get it sorted out, we are good to go, as long as it will take us. So thank you very much, everyone, and it has been a wonderful moment with you guys. I really appreciate, and sorry for the break in transmission, as that was due to network issues. So I look forward to seeing you same time tomorrow, and of course in the comment section on both my Trading View and Telegram platform as we continue to monitor price action. Do have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye bye. Okay, Jonas says that sorry about US oil not focused. Yes, I said contact me on my, let's talk on that privately. Contact me on Telegram, ask Master Sheriff. I will type it out in the comment section. Ask Master Sheriff, contact me, so we'll talk about that. All right? Okay, do have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye-bye.